And then they started making a town out of like villager huts, like really small houses that looked like they could only house a villager. They started copy and pasting a bunch of those all over like the grassland island. Then they made a sand island that took them forever. But after the sand island was made, they seriously made a city. They actually started making a city out of like sandstone and stuff. And then that was the part where the mercs got on their radar. Mercs started seeing this build and started being like, I bet they got money, and then started showing up and harassing.
Damn.
And because of the harassment from the mercs, the Britannians were enslaved to mine a mountain that they were next to, because they had a mountain island, they had a grass biome island, and then they had a man-made sand island that they had made. And the mercs were showing up and demanding payment like mobs, like a mafia. And so they were forced to go work in this mountain. Little did they know they would strike the biggest ore strike on the realm history, and therefore Emerald Mountain was born. The first Emerald Mountain. I named my mountain Emerald Mountain from its success of Britannia, because we lost Britannia. But like Emerald Mountain, the first mountain we ever found that we were actually pulling emeralds from on a daily. And the mercs loved that. That was their own little personal piggy bank. So they came and pressed and harassed Britannia. So they called out for Dred Clan support, and we finally fought them at the beach, at the Sand Island. And that's where the great Merc War, Dred versus the Merc War, happened. Alright, I gave you a lot of history. How do you want to write this down?
I'm writing like what transpired after the war was great development in the world. A Dred Clan expedition found an abandoned shipwreck, and people eventually started forming the nation of Britain. But that's like what I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to talk about the Merc raids and then Emerald Mountain.
Okay. Because Emerald Mountain is why we gave a shit about Britain. Like, everyone on the realm, even the nomads that weren't a part of, like, the people that were on left and right and left and joined back, and friends of a friends, everyone flocked to Britain. Britain was the place to go. And it was crazy it's crazy to think that I only have a screenshot now of the remains of Britannia. Because it was really great. And it's kind of sad, I don't know how to put that correctly. I am sad that Britannia's gone. I'm not sad that it happened to Mythic Turtle, that all this grievances happened, that he had to start his nation over 3 times. But still, maybe don't be a pedo. But his first nation falling, I was there for that. I showed up too late to his support. Everything was on fire. There was still remains of cannons from TNT cannons that were placed. Emerald Mountain had been stripped. Like, instead of the nice walkway that went up to it, it like literally had like a blowhole from like where they blasted to get in, and like started breaking all the doors. There were still iron doors floating at all the check marks into Emerald Mountain. Like, it was sad. It was a sad day. Everyone had fled and left Britain because he wasn't a good leader, because he couldn't hold out the army. It wasn't really his fault. He had a bunch of farmers with him that just pieced out once it got hot. He had like a full army of 5 people at one point, and the mercs were like sweating. But then as soon as the mercs showed up, they realized that it's all just like a house made out of straw. Like, it could just be pushed over. Like, it was nothing. And then that was it for Britain. Britain perished after that. Somewhere out there, someone really took the time on the light trip. I bet they could fly around and find the 3 lily pad islands and find original Britannia. And then I'd make like a history museum around it. I'd build like, I construct like a wood wall around it or something, and be like, this site is the site of the original Britannia.
So were you guys allied with Britain in the start?
Nope. We had a contract. It was quite different, because there's sometimes we were like, you're gonna have to burn, man. We can't do anything. And then there were sometimes they were like, we'll pay you. Please, for the love of God, get down here. And we were like, all right, we're coming. We started getting there by boat. And that was the biggest hassle. They had no form of like transportation. It was all Lewis and Clarking to their locale.
Is there any more?
I just realized you're in Canada. Do you know who Lewis and Clark are?
No,
Yep.
not really.
Okay, there's some
Somebody
dudes.
wants
There's
to
two
help me.
dudes that
I'm
went on an
doing a
expedition
raid.
across America. They're the first people to go from one end of America to the other, and they did that without any roads, without any help, fighting Indians, sickness, disease, and it was a miracle. Like everyone that had tried before had died, like way before they did, and they actually managed to be like and write down everything. So Lewis and Clark are immortalized in America for being the first two dudes to have the nuts to be like, yeah, I'm gonna be a leader and walk this bitch, and then they did it.
And also, they ate their dogs.
So when I
Because
refer to Lewis and Clarking, it means like you had to go where it's unknown. You just went through forests, rivers, and no landmarks. You just were like going.
So, what happened after you guys entered the agreement and you guys started making a lot of emeralds out of the mountain? The Mercs didn't like this, so they started raiding you guys.
Yep.
So, what should I name this chapter, do you think?
I'd say this chapter be called The Fall of Britannia, because Britannia was amazing. It was it was like a Roman Empire. It wasn't like, no builds were big, but a lot of people's interest, time, and everyone was caught there. Everyone was logging back in there. Like, I even, like, let dust collect on Dreadland. I was so enthralled with Britannia. Like, we were all there.
So, what started the fall of Britain?
The Fall of Britain happened when, I don't want to say his name, but like the leader of Britannia started to not pay DredClan anymore for their help, because it was starting to become like a false flag operation. Like, we'd show up and they'd be like, and then they'd run away, and that was it. So they quit paying, and so they cried wolf 3 times in a row. They're like, nah, man, we're not really coming. And then one day I finally came from like a bunch of messages like, no, we're under attack, we need help, please come, SOS, and like we showed up and it was just too late. Everything was fucking burnt down, blown up, raided, taken, and everyone had fled. And Mythic Turtle got back on, and he was telling me how he lost power of his nation and everyone was like, what?
Nothing. Keep going.
That was it. He didn't show up, and they got liquefied by the Mercs.
So basically, what happened was you guys stopped paying they stopped paying you for protection from the Mercs, and one day the Mercs just showed up and raided them, and they were caught with their pants down, basically.
Absolutely. They had no warriors online. It was all farmers, and the farmers pieced out as soon as it got bad. It was Mythic and Nukestar were the only 2 people actually fighting. Gingerbread wasn't on. He couldn't get on because he had classes in Britain, so he was on like a different time schedule than us. And then the other 3 farmers, I don't think they even put up a fight. I think they all just literally dipped. I think they all literally just dipped as soon as they started coming out of the water. I think the best part of this chapter in the book would be the detail of what you write of how decimated Britannia was, because it really was like a scene out of like a Civil War movie of like you're showing up to be reinforcements and it's just too late.
So you guys showed up to help in the aftermath?
Yeah, and it was just,
okay.
The war had been way over. Like,
so you guys didn't even care about the payment at this point, you were just trying to help?
Yeah. That was the fall of the very first Britannia, and then there's like 2 other Britannias that sprang up. The second one didn't last long because of Honest. He just destroyed him in Paradise Plains. And then the third one we all know about, way out in the middle of nowhere in bumfuck ocean.
So I want you to describe to me like what it looked like when you guys arrived arrived with your people.
First thing we noticed was that the wooden villager village on the grass vine was still on fire. It was still going, blazing. And then we noticed all the pathways leading throughout the town had we couldn't tell if they were creeper or TNT burn marks, like blown up marks, all throughout the walkways leading to the different lily pads of their town. Like, they had severed all the bridges. They had destroyed their one fort. Their one fort they had still floating cobblestone bits and shit from, like, the TNT explosions from the inside out. Where it looked like, if I was a forensic guy, I would say that the last stand happened at Fort Emerald, just from, not Fort Emerald, Mount Emerald, from how much damage was there and how many arrows were just littered everywhere. It looked like they had a giant fight on the staircase of Emerald Mountain, because it looked like they retreated inside the mountain and they had to blow their way inside the mountain, because every checkpoint inside that mountain was blown up until they got to, like, the actual mining area. And then there was just a bunch of floating XP and loot. They left the loot. This was really a malicious act.
So, you guys arrived, and then the town was on fire, and there were, like, people dying in front of you, right?
Yep. And it looked like a glorious last stand. A Custer's last stand was done for the protection of Emerald Mountain.
I'm in a cave right now, trying to find these
That was the fall of
fucking
Britannia.
witches and shit.
Never recovered after that. Britain never grew more than, like, 2 members, and never, like, quite recovered after that. Ready for the next chapter? Because that's about it for Britannia. The next chapter is about Mudville.
Fuck, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die.
I'm almost done.
Okay.
Alright.
Read it back to me.
Alright, and I'm almost done writing. So you saw that, like... So you arrived with your army.
Dude. Just got fucked.
Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
Alright, I didn't hear anything after you said you arrived with your army.
Yeah, no, I'm just like... Because, like, I accidentally deleted the page, so I'm rewriting it right now, and I'm, like, literally almost done, then I'm gonna read it out to you.
Okay.
So the village was on fire.
Sorry, my internet died.
And when you guys arrived, were there still mercs? Or were they all dead? Or were the mercs, like, gone?
So it was completely vacant. There was nothing there but a ghost town when we arrived. And it was really sad, because there were still floating XP and loot, and there were still burning buildings. The carefully made pathways throughout the, like, town had been blister-pocked with TNT explosions, so even the roads weren't pretty. The one cobblestone building that they had as a fort to protect the grassland area had been completely blown up, and there were still chunks hovering in the air from the cobblestone. And then, like I said, I turned my attention to Emerald Mountain, and that's where I could clearly see them. Like that's where the battle happened. Like, that's where the fight went down. Like, they must have quit running and actually started fighting at Emerald Mountain, because the whole staircase was littered with explosions, a shit ton of arrows, fucking floating armor that was still there.
I have the bad omen effect. Want me to come over there?
A huge explosion on the main entrance. Like, they had blown the iron door section wide open so that they could get in.
Yeah,
and then every single checkpoint, there's like only 3 checkpoints inside that mountain. All of it had their iron doors still floating because they had been blown open, like, all 3 sections.
Get some guy. I got 4.
That's about as much detail as I can give you about the
Hey, get ready. I'm on my way.
It's just like, you need to milk that, because it You felt it in your heart when you got there. It was like
You only got.
it's
you
like
only
what it
got
must
three?
feel like to be like a cavalryman
I have
showing
4
up
members,
to
right?
like a settlement and it's too late. Like the
Alright.
Indians have already raided.
I'm
Like
gonna
that's
have to
how it
move the
felt. It
villages
was like
over to the capital soon because
like
I'm gonna
fuck.
reshape.
Like,
I'm gonna remodel
all
it
this
like.
all this time,
Hey,
all this
block
waiting
up the
around, and all
villager
this time of
places.
getting
Block up the
messages of
villagers.
help. Come
Like, make
on,
sure
where
they
are you
don't
guys
die and
at?
stuff.
And we were thinking we're
They're
gonna go
Before I
right there
walk
and right
in.
on it, and then it was
They're
too
good?
late.
Yeah, they're good with the slabs on it.
Okay, I'm coming. The raid should be starting in any moment.
After the Battle of Britannia, the Mercs gained a new level of infamy, of fear-mongering infamy.
Gotta fight to the villagers.
Nobody wanted to deal with the Mercs. Everyone was paying their pay. Everyone wanted the
Alright, here we
Mercs off
go.
their land as soon as
Alright,
possible.
there is
Any
a raid in
milkseeder
Italy.
even
If you guys
whisper of
want
the
any
Mercs
totems, come
made
to
people
Italy.
go
There's a
into a
raid going on.
frenzy of meetings
What?
and talking to one another about like,
Well, I want at
what do
least
we
2.
do? Like they were like before Nazi invaded Poland. Like we were all like sweating. Like, we were all like,
That
who's
guy's from
gonna
over
go
here.
first? Like Jesus Christ! Like the Mercs literally got like a whole new level of scariness after Britannia fell.
Preamble 12.
Stop being gay, Engine.
And then out of this
Oh,
crazy squabble
man.
of Mercs,
Hello,
and
first viewer.
there was no
Why don't you put the
nomads
path
because the
over
Mercs
here?
were
Why
Do you want me
nomads
to
at
read
the
out
time.
to you what I
Oh, I get
wrote?
rid of like this entire thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just like.
done
Oh, over
Okay,
here. This
so
over here.
Chapter 6, The Fall of Britain. The start of the fall of Britain was when the leader had stopped paying Dred Clan for protection from the Mercs, and what transpired from this neglect of payment was the
Got 'em.
Mercs raided and sacked the capital of Britain. The Dred Empire had decided to help the people even without any payment, but the army arrived too late, and what they saw was horrible. The king of Dred Clan and his army arrived to a hellscape of a burning and empty city. Dead bodies all around them, and the stench of ash eminent
This
throughout the
way.
air of the
Oh,
once
they're
great
this
city.
way.
Oh man.
Ooh yeah.
Damn,
There we go.
that's beautiful. That's literally what it was like. Yeah.
Oh, crap.
So what were
It
you
was-
thinking
it-
when you saw this?
I thought we were too late. That was literally the first thing that came
Got
to my
him.
mind. Like literally like a Hollywood movie moment.
Wait, can I go take a
good
piss real quick?
Yeah.
Alright.
Come from this way. The switch is in there.
We have little witches. Oh,
Hey, Commander.
Oh, I got splashed. Got splashed.
Me too.
I'm good though. I'm good.
Commander.
I'm about to die.
Good.